Ars Notoria. Episode 1. The Forbidden Book of Memory. Chapter 1. The Whispered Page. There exists a book whispered through centuries, not spoken of loudly in the halls of academia, nor openly worshipped in the cathedrals of faith. It is not listed among the sacred scriptures, nor shelved between the great works of science. Yet its influence runs like a secret vein beneath the surface of both. Its name is Ars Notoria, the notary art, the final book of the legendary Lemegeton, or the Lesser Key of Solomon. This book claims no miracles of fire, no thunderous smiting of enemies. Instead, it dares to offer something far more dangerous: perfect memory, instant comprehension, the unlocking of one's true intellectual potential. In a world before printing presses, before mass education, when books were copied by hand and memory was the throne of wisdom, Ars Notoria emerged as a forbidden treasure. It promised its practitioners a direct, divine method to acquire knowledge, learn languages in days, absorb complex philosophy, and summon encyclopedic mastery of logic, rhetoric, mathematics, and astronomy. But this wasn't magic in the way most imagine it. There were no spells in the traditional sense, no Eye of Newt, no bubbling cauldrons. Only a series of visual sigils, known as Notae, paired with intense ritualistic prayers, fasting, focused meditation, and psychic dedication to the divine. What it offered was not power over others, but sovereignty over the self. And that, perhaps, made it the most dangerous magic of all. Most of its known manuscripts are in Latin, buried deep within secret Vatican collections, university libraries, and locked private archives. Some versions were altered, redacted, or partially destroyed. Some remained hidden in plain sight, disguised under other names. The reason? It threatened too much. A peasant with divine memory could rival a priest. A monk with photographic cognition could surpass his bishop. An ordinary man, if properly guided, might become a scholar overnight, a prophet within weeks. That kind of empowerment has always threatened authority. The Church, though never formally banning it, condemned many versions. Some claimed demonic involvement. Others feared that the rituals might cause madness, hallucinations, or spiritual confusion. But the core warning remained the same. This knowledge is not for the unprepared mind. Still, in secret, behind monastery doors and inside candlelit chambers, Ars Notoria was practiced. Whispered, copied by hand, memorized, smuggled, passed not through sermons, but through initiation. Today, only fragments remain. And yet, those fragments hint at a complete system, one designed to turn the human mind into a divine mirror. You are not watching this by accident. You are part of a new initiation. Welcome to Episode 1 of Ars Notoria, the Forbidden Book of Memory. Let us begin. Chapter 2. The Scholar, the Monk, and the Abyss of Knowledge. All learning is a remembrance. Plato. In a monastery shrouded in silence, amid stone corridors echoing only with the rhythm of disciplined footsteps, sat a man. Not a saint, not a heretic, but something in between. A seeker. His name long forgotten by history, but his hunger eternal, to remember everything. His fingertips traced parchment as if it were skin, sacred, fragile, trembling under the weight of secrets. Before him, pages inked in an archaic blend of Latin, Greek, and broken Hebrew, whispered of a truth no classroom dared to utter. The manuscript? Ars Notoria, the notary art. But it was no ordinary art. It was a system, a sequence, a divine architecture of cognition, cloaked in prayer, geometry, and silence. And yet, it was not only monks who were drawn to its promises. Flash forward 800 years, to the basement of a forgotten Oxford library. A modern-day scholar, eyes glazed from digital glare, scrolls through microfilm. His heart races. The phrase appears again. Per haec verba notoria, omnia scire. Through these notable words, know everything. That promise, immortal through time, transcends religion, politics, and era. It speaks to something primal within us, a desire to master the world not by power, but by perception. But what is the Ars Notoria really? Let us continue not with technique, but with its paradox. The paradox of a forbidden memory. Why would the Church, the ultimate stronghold of spiritual authority, ban a text not of demons or dark pacts, but of memory? Because the Ars Notoria claimed the impossible, divine learning. That is, to pray a set of visual and verbal notae, to fast and meditate, and in return, to be granted instant knowledge, mastery of rhetoric, mastery of mathematics, mastery of logic, all without study, without apprenticeship. This promise stood in direct opposition to the Church's economy of control. Knowledge was owned, locked behind monastic walls, filtered through clergy, rationed like wine at Mass. But Ars Notoria whispered something blasphemous. You do not need the gatekeepers. The cathedral is within your mind. The psychology of obsession. To understand the text, you must first understand the mind it was written for. The medieval monk was not a passive vessel. He was a machine of devotion. He rose before dawn, recited 100 prayers before the first meal, and spent his hours copying sacred texts by hand. Time was regimented, flesh was denied, thought was purified. But beneath the surface, rage, lust, ego, ambition. And it was that ambition, to become the next Augustine, the next Thomas Aquinas, that drew monks to the Notoria art like moths to flame. The promise wasn't just knowledge, it was authority. If you could memorize scripture perfectly, cite philosophers in flawless Latin, speak with divine eloquence, you became untouchable. But the price? Isolation. Fasting to the point of hallucination. Reciting invocations until your voice no longer felt your own. And sometimes, something looked back. The Notae, symbols as cognitive engines. Imagine this, a circle within a circle, surrounded by script that looks part Renaissance, part celestial, part alien. These are the Notae, visual diagrams within the Ars Notoria. They were not art, they were engines of memory. Each Notae was assigned a divine name, not of known angels, but of forgotten intermediaries, names that sounded like echoes from another language system altogether. Half-syllables, rolling vowels, tongue-twisting consonants. When spoken aloud in ritual context, these names weren't just recitations, they were keys. The monks believed the Notae functioned like cognitive portals. By looking at a specific shape while chanting its associated words, and while fasting, the brain would enter a state of divine receptivity. Today we'd call it neuroplasticity under strain. Back then, it was called grace, the silence between the rituals. But here is where it gets deeper. Ars Notoria was not a passive book. It never asked to be read. It demanded to be experienced. In fact, the text itself is maddening to modern eyes. There are missing instructions, pages that refer to rituals never explained, symbols repeated with no consistent meaning. Some scholars believe this was intentional, a form of cognitive gatekeeping. Only those who felt the system intuitively could proceed. Others think the gaps were inserted later, as a way to censor the book without destroying it. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear. The real power was in what was not said. Between the Notae and the invocations lay something more powerful than knowledge: transformation. The reader was not meant to understand the rituals. They were meant to become them. The sound of cognition. Let us now consider the chants. The book instructs specific vocal formulas. These weren't Latin prayers. They were sonic sequences, often untranslatable. recited at precise times of day, in specific tones. To a modern cognitive scientist, these are binaural manipulations, breath-induced vagus nerve activations, self-induced trance states. To the medieval monk, they were divine music. One prayer, called the Oratio Intellectus, had to be chanted 33 times before dawn, facing east, while visualizing a golden figure descending from heaven. What does that sound like? Exactly. Self-programming. The secret within the mirror. There are whispers of a deeper layer, that the Ars Notoria was not just about memory, but about identity deconstruction. That those who completed its full cycle began to feel their ego unravel, their memories blending with imagined knowledge, their thoughts no longer feeling theirs. Was it madness? Or was it enlightenment? In every age, the boundary between the two is razor thin. One 13th century monk, after years of practice, wrote only one line in his journal before disappearing. "I have become the book." The map has only begun. We stand now at the edge of a question. What if this forbidden manuscript was not a mystical delusion, but an early cognitive technology, wrapped in spiritual language to survive the fire of censorship? What if its bizarre rituals are simply the raw code of a brain far more flexible, far more programmable than we've been taught to believe? In the next chapter, we descend into the actual mechanics of one ritual and break it apart not as occult mysticism, but as neurocognitive engineering, centuries before neuroscience existed. Chapter 3. Ritual as Code, breaking down the first sequence. The brain is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. Plutarch. Imagine this, a dimly lit stone chamber somewhere in 12th century Toledo. A novice monk, barely 20, sits cross-legged, eyes fixed on a worn parchment. Before him, a single Notae, a spiraling circle of symbols, flanked by the strange name Thebonial. He breathes in. He chants. Again, and again, and again. To the outside observer, this is madness, but to the initiate, it is activation. This is the first documented ritual in the Ars Notoria, the Notae of the liberal arts, a cognitive key intended to unlock the entire trivium and quadrivium: grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, the full medieval syllabus. But how? Let's dissect it like modern scientists reverse engineering ancient software. The visual anchor, Notae as primal interfaces. At the center of the ritual is the Notae, the strange diagram. Let's pause here. To a monk, this wasn't a drawing. It was a mind map, not in the Tony Buzan sense, but in the mystical sense. It was designed to root an abstract concept, say, logic, into a visual node, tying it to color, geometry, sound, and time. Modern neuroscience calls this multimodal encoding. It's how Olympic memorizers remember hundreds of digits, by attaching them to bizarre visual and emotional imagery. The Notory art did the same, 800 years earlier. But instead of numbers, it encoded entire disciplines. The chant, unlocking breath and brainwaves. The first chant of Ars Notoria is not a prayer, it's a neurological switch. Adonai, Elion, Sade, Tetragrammaton. These aren't just divine names, they're sonic rhythms. Spoken aloud, they stretch the lungs and reset breathing patterns. Specifically, they slow the breath to under 6 per minute, a rate proven today to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, increase heart rate variability, and activate the prefrontal cortex. This is not theology. This is biological hacking. Breathing in this way induces alpha and theta brainwave dominance, the gateway states for memory formation and internal visualization. Monks didn't know EEG, but they knew what it felt like to become open. The timing, solar alignment, and circadian priming. The ritual is timed, strictly, at matins, pre-dawn. Not arbitrary. The circadian window around 3 to 5 a.m. is a unique neurological zone. Melatonin is peaking. Cortisol has not yet risen. The mind is hypnagogic, a bridge between dreaming and wakefulness. In modern learning theory, this is the perfect time for hypersuggestibility, meaning anything repeated during this window is more likely to be encoded. The ritual takes advantage of this perfectly. Ancient monks knew it as grace. Today, we call it neuropriming. The emotional loop. Fasting, isolation, and hunger for meaning. Here's the real trick: fasting. The text instructs 3 days of strict fasting prior to performing the Notae. Why? Because caloric restriction elevates norepinephrine and increases synaptic plasticity. In simpler terms, the brain becomes hungry, not just for food, but for pattern. Combine this with isolation, silence, and the anticipation of a sacred experience, you have a cocktail for emotionally charged memory formation. Modern research confirms emotion plus repetition plus altered states equals permanent encoding. The Ars Notoria used all three. The anchor phrase, cognitive binding through language. Each ritual ends with a specific anchor phrase, a kind of holy seal. Doce me Domine, scientiam tuum. Teach me, Lord, your knowledge. On the surface, it's devotion. Underneath, it's cognitive binding. By linking the entire sensory experience to a fixed phrase, the brain creates a neural shortcut, a single phrase that can later trigger the entire memory structure built during the ritual. This is the same mechanism behind NLP anchoring and Pavlovian triggers. But the monks didn't use jargon. They used faith. What was actually learned? Now the uncomfortable question: did it work? Historical records are complicated. Some monks wrote about an eruption of clarity, as if they had read books they never opened. Others described terrifying visions, dissociation, even madness. One Dominican brother in the 14th century claimed he recited the full metaphysics of Aristotle by memory, after just 2 weeks of using the rituals. Is this fantasy? Maybe. But consider this. Modern studies show hypermnemonists can recall entire books using mental palaces and associative chaining, without supernatural help. And every technique in Ars Notoria overlaps with methods used by today's memory champions. So perhaps the question is not whether it worked, but how many had the discipline to do it properly. The ritual is a mirror. What makes Ars Notoria so haunting is that it offers no guarantees. You can chant, fast, starve, visualize, and still, nothing. Because, as we begin to realize, the ritual doesn't work unless you do. In the next chapter, we confront the true barrier to transformation, not external censorship, but internal resistance. We step into the psychology of forbidden learning and why some minds reject their own potential. Chapter 4. The Psychology of the Forbidden. Why the Mind Rejects Power. Man is not afraid of the unknown. He is afraid of losing the known. In the heart of the Ars Notoria lies a paradox. Here we have a system, radical, beautiful, precise, designed to elevate the human mind to divine clarity. A system that promised mastery of logic, grammar, astronomy, even theology, and yet it was buried, silenced, hidden, feared. Why? Why would humanity, so obsessed with knowledge, suppress a book that claimed to deliver it? To understand that, we must look not at the book, but at the mind, the resistance to greatness. Have you ever felt it? That tiny voice whispering, "This is too much. I'm not ready. People like me don't do things like this." This is not humility. It's self-preservation. Psychologists call it homeostasis, the mind's attempt to keep things familiar, even if what's familiar is limiting. The Ars Notoria doesn't just teach memory, it challenges identity. It tells you can be more. But to accept that, you must let go of who you've been. That is terrifying. Cognitive dissonance, when power feels like a threat. Imagine a medieval monk who spent 10 years memorizing text the hard way, word by word, candle by candle. Now someone says, you can learn it faster, with symbols, chants, breathing. Even if it works, his mind rejects it. Why? Because accepting it would mean admitting his old way was inefficient, maybe even unnecessary. That's not just painful, it's identity death. This is called cognitive dissonance, when new truths threaten old beliefs. The mind responds with denial, ridicule, suppression, which explains why church authorities banned the text. Scholars dismissed it as magic. Even curious minds approached it with fear. It wasn't the book they feared. It was the implication. You are capable of more than you've been told. The shadow side of genius. Here's the deeper truth. Most people don't fear failure. They fear success. Because success means responsibility, visibility, judgment, expectation. To truly see the power inside you is to feel the burden of using it. The monks who mastered the Ars Notoria often retreated into silence. Some left their orders. A few disappeared entirely. The records hinted breakdowns, visions, moments of ecstatic madness. We don't know if they were blessed or broken, but we do know this. Genius comes at a price, and not everyone is willing to pay it. The psychology of suppression, why societies silence power. Now let's zoom out. Across history, every major civilization has had forbidden texts. Books banned, ideas burned, people executed for knowing too much. Why? Because knowledge unbalances hierarchy. If a peasant learns like a priest, the church loses control. If a woman memorizes theology, the patriarchy shakes. If a child becomes a genius without a teacher, the system collapses. The Ars Notoria didn't just offer learning, it offered independence. And every empire fears that. The inner gatekeeper. Your mind is the final enemy. But even if you had the full ritual in your hands, would you do it? Would you fast for days? Rise before dawn? Chant for hours? Visualize until your body goes numb? Probably not. Because the greatest suppressor is not society. It's you. The inner gatekeeper. The part of your mind that says, I don't have time. This is weird. It won't work for me. That's the voice that has killed more dreams than any censor ever could. Remembering who you are. The Ars Notoria wasn't just a book. It was a mirror, showing people what they could become. Some stared into it and saw a possibility. Others stared and ran. So the real question isn't, does the Ars Notoria work? The real question is, are you ready for who you become if it does? What comes next? In the next chapter, we move beyond theory. We begin decoding the first real technique, a method of activating focus so intense it rivals modern nootropics and deep meditation. A method forgotten by most, hidden in the Notae of Solomon's cycle. This is where the practical journey begins. Prepare to meet the architecture of your own cognition. Chapter 5. The first key, breathing the mind awake. Before the word, there was the breath. Welcome to the first real technique. Hidden inside the pages of Ars Notoria, wrapped in chant cycles and prayer, was a subtle but powerful mechanism that monks swore by. A way to open the mental eye, even before studying began. It wasn't magical, it was breath. But not just any breath. This was structured, intentional, psycho-spiritual breathing, designed not for calm but for focus. Let's unravel it. The ritual begins, entering the silence. Each Ars Notoria session began the same way, not with study, not with prayer, but with silence. The monk would retreat into a private space, a stone cell, a candlelit chapel, a shadowed library alcove. He would sit upright, hands resting palm down, eyes half closed, and he would begin to breathe. In through the nose, slowly, to the count of 4. Hold for 4. Out through the mouth, to the count of 6. Hold for 2. Repeat. This was no accident. This pattern slows the heartbeat, aligns the vagus nerve, and triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, the same system responsible for deep learning states. Before neuroscience had names, monks had rituals. They were building the neuro-architecture of learning, one breath at a time. The physics of focus, oxygen as ignition. Modern science now confirms oxygen levels in the brain directly impact cognitive speed, clarity, and recall. The monks may not have known this chemically, but they knew it intuitively. They breathed rhythmically before every study cycle. Some even fasted or chanted during breathwork to amplify trance states. They weren't praying out of duty. They were engineering flow states. This breath wasn't passive. It was active ignition, a way to prime the brain like a sacred engine. Layering intention, the use of internal commands. Here's where it gets strange. Some manuscripts describe monks whispering short Latin phrases, pre-intentiones, at the top of each breath. Simple lines like, mens mea aperitur, my mind is opening. Meminice est videre, to remember is to see. Verbum Dei lux est, the word of God is light. They repeated them over and over. At first you might think it's prayer, but today we'd call this cognitive priming, the act of embedding purposeful language into the subconscious before a task. Athletes do it. Speakers do it. Monks did it 900 years ago. And it worked. The internal shift, from wandering to awareness. By the 3rd or 4th minute, something changes. Monks reported a shift in sensation. Sounds became distant. The body faded. Time slowed. Modern psychologists call this the theta-gamma coupling phase, when the mind prepares for deep imprinting, as in REM sleep or trauma-induced memory. The Ars Notoria engineered this on demand, just by breathing, just by intention. And the craziest part? Once trained, monks could enter this state in under 60 seconds. They built a neurological shortcut to focus, centuries before Adderall or meditation apps. How to recreate it? The modern version. Now let's bring it into your world. Here's how to perform the monk's breath ritual, adapted for the modern mind. Total time, 3 to 5 minutes. Best used before study, decision-making, or any focused task. Step 1. Posture. Sit upright, no slouching, feet flat, spine straight, hands on knees or table. Step 2. The breath pattern. Inhale through nose, 4 seconds. Hold, 4 seconds. Exhale through mouth, 6 seconds. Hold, 2 seconds. Repeat for 3 to 5 minutes. Step 3. Add a mental phrase. On each inhale, mentally say, I awaken my mind, or choose your own. Repeat it every round. No distractions. Step 4. Silence the noise. If thoughts come, don't fight them. Let them pass like smoke. By minute 3, you should feel clearer, calmer, mentally ready. This is not just meditation. This is activation. It's how you switch from scattered to sharpened in minutes. And it's just the beginning. The power of ritual in cognitive performance. Let's be blunt. People love hacks, tips, tricks. But what changes the brain is ritual. Repetition, structure, and symbolic intention. The Ars Notoria's genius wasn't the techniques alone. It was how they were embedded in behavior. Same time, same breath, same words. Over and over, until the ritual itself became a neural pathway. That's why it worked. That's why it stuck. That's why those who used it remembered everything. We've unlocked a doorway. Next, we step into the sacred hall of visual architecture, where monks drew symbols not to worship, but to remember. The mysterious diagrams, the Notae, that supposedly held the power to memorize entire fields of knowledge, we're about to decode their secrets, and you'll learn how to build your own. Chapter 6. The Notae, Diagrams of the Mind. What is drawn is remembered. What is encoded is eternal. If the breath opened the gate, the Notae were the maps to walk through it. No part of the Ars Notoria manuscript has puzzled scholars more than these. A cryptic set of geometric figures, strange symbols, Latin inscriptions, and what looked like proto-mnemonic memory glyphs. To a casual viewer, they resemble sacred doodles, but to the initiated, they were a visual technology, centuries ahead of its time. What are the Notae? The Notae were full-page illustrations embedded throughout different versions of the Ars Notoria. Unlike biblical art or alchemical diagrams, these weren't meant to tell a story. They were meant to install a mental structure. Each diagram corresponded to a different faculty of learning: logic, grammar, rhetoric, mathematics, astronomy, theology. Each one was paired with a set of prayers and a strict schedule of recitation, always in sync with moon phases, church hours, or specific saint days. Why? Because this was embedded cognition, the belief that when and how you encode a memory matters just as much as what you encode. Monks weren't just drawing symbols, they were programming their minds. Why symbols work better than words? Let's pause and ask, why use visuals? Because the human brain evolved to remember images before language. We dream in pictures. We recall faces instantly. We process shape faster than syntax. The Notae used this to their advantage. Each diagram was visually distinct, rich in symbolic meaning, layered with repetition and pattern. Modern neuroscience now calls this dual encoding theory. When we combine visual and verbal data, memory retention skyrockets. The monks knew this, so they built a visual layer on top of the prayers, a second channel of cognition. The architecture of a Notae page. Let's break one down. Imagine a page with a concentric circle in the center. Inside are Latin names of the 7 liberal arts, angelic invocations, stylized but not overtly magical. Geometric forms, triangles, stars, keys. At the corners you see 4 symbols: a wing, an open eye, a flame, a scroll. Each corresponds to a mental power. Wing equals speed of thought. Eye equals clarity of recall. Flame equals passion for knowledge. Scroll equals depth of understanding. But it wasn't just symbolic. Each part of the diagram was to be gazed at in a specific order, following a rhythm. Top left, center, bottom right, upper right, bottom left, close eyes, recall. This process mimicked eye movement patterns seen in modern EMDR therapy, used to rewire traumatic memory. Except the monks used it to store knowledge. Monastic visualization practice. The monks were trained to gaze at the Notae diagram after their breath ritual, repeat the associated Latin phrases, close their eyes, reconstruct the diagram mentally, every line, every symbol, link the image to a subject, for example, geometry, theology, astronomy. This did 2 things: engaged spatial memory, embedded semantic anchors in a visual shell. It's essentially an early form of the method of loci, the memory palace technique. But instead of a palace, they used a sigil, and they practiced it daily. What they got right, according to modern neuroscience. Science now validates many layers of this. Visual anchors increase retention by 70 to 80%. Mental reconstruction activates the hippocampus, the core of long-term memory. Repetitive gaze recall loops deepen myelination of recall pathways. Coupling, symbol plus intention, creates emotional mnemonic binding. The aesthetic emotional layer amplifies commitment and reduces forgetting. In short, they were building neurosymbolic circuits long before we had the language to describe it. Modern application, designing your own Notae. Let's modernize it. Here's how you can build your own Notae for any subject. Step 1. Choose a core theme, for example, psychology, coding, music theory. Step 2. Pick 4 to 5 symbols. Choose visuals that represent the essence of the topic. For example, for psychology, brain, heart, scale, eye. Step 3. Create a layout. Use a circle or cross shape. Arrange your symbols in symmetry. Add the name of the subject in the center. Surround with keywords or quotes. Step 4. Ritualize the gaze. Before study, look at the image. Breathe for 2 minutes. Repeat your goal. For example, I absorb this knowledge with clarity. Close your eyes. Mentally draw the image from memory. This becomes your learning portal, activated on demand. Notae as sacred UX design. In many ways, the Notae weren't just spiritual. They were user interface design for the medieval brain. Monks engineered a symbolic operating system, a layered, repeatable, beautiful way to embed knowledge deeper than any textbook. And when they looked at those symbols years later, the knowledge returned, instantly. Because in their minds, the Notae was the subject. We've breathed, we've drawn, we've seen. But what happens when sound enters the equation? In the next chapter, we uncover the sonic technology of Ars Notoria, not incantations, but neuroacoustic devices embedded in prayer. What happens when words are felt, not just heard? Prepare to enter the vibration of cognition, where chant becomes code, and rhythm rewires the mind. Chapter 7. The Neuroacoustics of Chant. Unlocking focus through sound. What is spoken with rhythm is remembered. What vibrates in the bones becomes unshakable. If breath was the gate, and the Notae were the map, then sound was the key that unlocked the chamber. And in Ars Notoria, that sound wasn't music. It was chant, encoded vibration, spoken intention, rhythm sharpened by devotion. But this wasn't about belief. It was about resonance. Why chant? To the modern ear, chant sounds like religious atmosphere. Monks humming in echoing halls, incense trailing behind syllables. But the ancients knew something deeper. Sound changes brain states, not metaphorically, literally. Vibration is not decoration, it is stimulation. And rhythm? Rhythm organizes the chaos of thought into a flow state. The physics of the word. Every chant in Ars Notoria was constructed with specific syllables, precise lengths of vowel sound, breath synchronization. These weren't just prayers, they were acoustic algorithms. Each phrase was repeated on cycles, 3 times, 7 times, 33 times. Timed with breath, delivered in low, chest-resonant tone. This formed an entrainment loop, syncing the monk's internal state with a consistent vibratory rhythm. What does this do? Modern neuroscience calls this neural entrainment, gamma coherence, default mode suppression. The result? Enhanced focus, suppression of distracting thoughts, improved pattern recognition, elevated memory binding. Neuroacoustic science, what chant does to the brain. Let's pull back from the mysticism and go clinical. Chant increases parasympathetic activation, lowers cortisol, increases calm, primes for memory. Syllabic repetition triggers gamma wave bursts, tied to insight, peak learning, emotional clarity. Rhythm synchronizes left-right brain oscillation, improves cross-hemispheric cognition, especially in abstract reasoning. Toning activates vagal nerve, improves attention span, mood regulation, emotional resilience. Breath-bound chanting equals oxygenated retention. The hippocampus, the memory vault of the brain, is highly oxygen sensitive. In short, chant is breath made into memory glue. Chant as ritual versus mechanism. Here's the twist. The monks thought they were praying to angels, but what they were really doing was coding their nervous systems. The Latin words were important, not because of semantics, but because Latin had precise rhythm, elegant phonemes, and vocal symmetry. It was neurologically ergonomic. Each phrase became a patterned loop for consciousness to cycle through. That's ritual, but also biological programming, constructing the Ars chant protocol, modern practice. Want to use this today? Let's build a safe, modern protocol based on the neuroacoustic principles of Ars Notoria. Step 1. Choose a phrase. Use something emotionally powerful, rhythmic, and short. For example, I see with clarity. Focus is my nature. I am memory embodied. Step 2. Match to breath. Use a 4-second inhale, 8-second chant, 4-second pause cycle. This engages vagal activation plus rhythmic entrainment. Step 3. Repeat in sevens. Repeat 7 times. Rest. Then do 3 cycles. Why 7? Because short-term memory holds 7 plus or minus 2 items. Repetition locks this in. Step 4. Tone, not volume. Say it in a resonant, calm chest voice. Feel the vibration. Don't say it, chant it. Step 5. Do it before study. Perform the chant ritual immediately before memorizing or learning. Your brain will start associating the rhythm with absorption state. Advanced layer, binaural boost. Add low-volume binaural beats, for example, 40 Hz gamma, behind your chant. This creates a neuro-layering effect. Acoustic rhythm, chant. Electrical rhythm, brainwaves. Breath rhythm, vagal loop. Result: trance cognition, deep, focused, accelerated learning. Why monks achieve genius and sometimes madness. You might ask, if this was so powerful, why didn't everyone become a superhuman monk? 2 reasons. 1. Some overdid it. 24/7 fasting plus chanting equals neurochemical burnout. They hallucinated, dissociated, or broke down. 2. Some locked in. They entered trance state learning loops so strong that the chant replaced conscious thinking. Their minds were reconstructed by rhythm. In today's world, we call that deep pattern conditioning. Chant as ancient cognitive UX. Think of chant as interface design for the nervous system. The syllables are buttons. The breath is the operating system. The repetition is the memory storage. The monks weren't just praying. They were engineering their own learning firmware, and it worked. Because the brain doesn't care if something is spiritual or scientific. It only asks, is this pattern strong enough to rewire me? Modern ritual, your cognitive chant blueprint. Let's build your version right now. Here's your 7-minute mind priming ritual. Sit still. Light a candle, optional but adds environmental intention. Breathe in 4 seconds. Hold 2 seconds. Exhale as you chant your chosen phrase. 8 seconds. Pause. Feel the resonance. Repeat 7 times. Reflect for 60 seconds on your study goal. Begin learning. This isn't placebo. It's rhythmic neuropriming. Do this daily. Your brain will begin to associate the ritual with accelerated cognition. Into the trance, when prayer becomes code. We have breathed, gazed, and now spoken. But what happens when all 3 systems, visual, acoustic, and intention, align into one ritual? That's not prayer. That's neurocognitive engineering. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper. into the meditative loops that the monks use to enter cognitive trance states, and why modern science now calls this the optimal encoding zone, where time bends, self dissolves, and memory crystallizes. Prepare for Chapter 8, Trance Cognition, Entering the Flow of Memory. Chapter 8, Trance Cognition, Entering the Flow of Memory. True memory is not forced, it is surrendered to. To remember perfectly, one must first forget the self. We've prepared the body, we've focused the breath, we've drawn the mind with symbols, we've tuned the brain with sound. Now comes the final gateway of deep learning, the cognitive trance, a state not of effort, but of immersion. What is trance cognition? Trance often evokes images of mystics, hypnotists, or altered states. But in neuroscience, it means something much simpler, a focused, self-dissolving state of attention. Not distracted, not passive, not hyperstimulated, but absorbed, fully and utterly. Monks called it divine union. Psychologists call it flow. Cognitive scientists call it the optimal encoding zone. Whatever the term, the experience is the same. Time slows. The inner voice quiets. Information flows in effortlessly. Emotion and attention lock onto a single channel. This is not memorization, this is integration. The 4 triggers of the learning trance. Ars Notoria embedded 4 specific elements into its practice to induce this state. We now know these to be the same 4 triggers of flow state cognition. 1. Clear goals. Every ritual had a fixed intention. Today I master the grammar of Latin. Today I absorb the order of celestial bodies. A precise mental target tunes the brain's reticular activation system. No goal equals no entry. 2. Structured ritual routines reduce mental noise. Each prayer, chant, and diagram followed a schedule. Same time, same place, same actions. Predictability activates the default mode suppression, clearing internal chatter. 3. Elevated challenge. The prayers weren't easy. They were long, complex, coded in Latin, and required total recall. This created cognitive friction, enough challenge to spark engagement, but not overwhelm. This sweet spot is called the Goldilocks zone of neuroplasticity. 4. Sensory isolation. Monks were often in silence, darkness, or candlelit chambers. This reduced external input, forcing the brain to shift from external orientation to internal simulation. In modern terms, increased theta wave activity, deep hippocampal encoding, imagery-based processing. Modern science confirms the brain loves trance. Let's map this to the research. Default Mode Network, DMN, deactivation. When you stop thinking about yourself, memory improves dramatically. Hippocampal theta oscillations. This frequency band, 4 to 8 Hz, is associated with long-term encoding and retrieval, especially under emotional or immersive conditions. P300, event-related potentials. Brain spikes in attention when a pattern repeats. Rhythmic learning increases these spikes. Reduced amygdala activity. Lower fear equals better learning. The monk's meditative posture dampens stress response. Flow state neurochemistry. Dopamine, motivation plus encoding. Norepinephrine, focus plus urgency. Anandamide, calm plus cross-linking concepts. Building a trance protocol, your Ars Notoria flow state. Let's design a modern trance induction sequence for studying, memory, or creation. Step 1. Environment setup. Dim lighting or candlelight. No phone, notifications, external noise. Scented oil or incense, for example, rosemary or sandalwood. Comfortable but upright posture. Step 2. Mind lock. Speak your goal out loud. I am now entering the memory chamber to master Chapter 2 of Biology. Say it slowly, with intent. Step 3. Breath plus sound loop. 4-second inhale, 8-second chant or tone. Can be Om or any sacred syllable. 4-second silent hold. Repeat this for 7 cycles. Step 4. Visual anchor. Gaze at your chosen Notae diagram or symbol. Let your eyes trace it rhythmically. Then close your eyes and imagine it. This reactivates visual spatial memory and anchors focus. Step 5. Study under the state. Open your material. Begin absorbing. You'll feel calmer, sharper. Time might distort. That's a good sign. The warning: trance is powerful. This state is beautiful, but it is not a game. Monks who overindulged in trance-like repetition without grounding, they began hearing voices of angels giving them messages, seeing visions, losing grip on temporal awareness, dissolving their ego boundaries. Today we'd call this hypnagogic intrusion or identity diffusion. Use trance as a tool, not an escape. Balance it with grounding, journaling, physical movement after each session, simple conversation or walking outdoors. The real secret: trance embeds meaning. Why does trance make learning permanent? Because trance binds memory with emotion. We don't remember what we repeat, we remember what we feel. And trance is emotion's doorway to the unconscious. A monk didn't just learn logic, he became logic by absorbing it in a state of awe, rhythm, devotion, and inner silence. You can do the same. The galactic mind theory, beyond individual cognition. Here's the cosmic layer. Some esoteric schools believe that trance does not only activate your memory, but opens access to a collective intelligence. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. Mystics called it the Akashic field. Modern theories point to emergent neural entanglement across human consciousness. In trance, some claim, thoughts arise that weren't previously known. Solutions appear that weren't logically built. Insights emerge from nowhere. Is it the subconscious or a shared mind? We'll let you decide. Daily trance learning schedule, advanced practice. For serious practitioners, here's a weekly cycle. Monday, logic. Clarity flows through me. Wing plus scroll. Tuesday, grammar. I speak with precision. I plus circle. Wednesday, rhetoric. My voice shapes thought. Flame plus triangle. Thursday, math. Patterns reveal truth. Star plus grid. Friday, astronomy. I see the celestial order. Orb plus compass. Saturday, theology. Truth is within and without. Light plus crown. Sunday, review. I integrate all with ease. Spiral plus mirror. Each day follows 7-minute induction, 20 to 40 minutes of trance, learning, 5-minute reflection, journaling. Entering the archive of all memory. You've now seen the mechanics. You've built the environment. You've stepped into trance. But what happens when you go deeper, past your own memory? What if learning could tap into something beyond the brain? What if cognition is just a tuning fork, and somewhere, out there, is the grand library of all thought? In the next chapter, we explore that realm, where monks claimed angelic intelligences whispered answers, where science meets gnosis. Prepare for Chapter 9, the Archangel Interface, Myth or Cognitive Projection. Chapter 9, the Archangel Interface, Myth or Cognitive Projection. They spoke not in words but in structures of thought, not heard by the ear but received by the mind, like lightning forming a sentence. We now enter sacred ground, the place where Ars Notoria becomes most controversial, most mystifying, most potent. This is the domain of the so-called Archangel Interface, the ancient claim that learning can be revealed not just remembered. In this chapter we ask, were these angelic downloads literal or metaphorical? Were monks hallucinating under sleep deprivation? Or did they tap into a cognitive archetype, a pattern-matching network far beyond the conscious mind? We're not here to debunk. We're here to decode. The claim, divine beings as cognitive accelerators. The original texts don't hide it. Invoke Notoria, and the angel will grant perfect memory. The angels of grammar, of logic, of theology, they whisper wisdom into the willing soul. Their voices are not sound, but knowing itself. Monks believed each field of knowledge had a patron angel, not just a symbol, but a real, sentient intelligence. Here's the core belief. Learning isn't about collecting facts. It's about aligning with a vibrational archetype that governs a domain of truth. So instead of memorizing astronomy, you invoke the angel of the heavens. You don't just study rhetoric, you channel the voice of persuasion. Each angel equals a field of cognition. Each prayer equals a request to tune in to that cognitive frequency. Psychological reframing, archetype, not angel. Modern psychology offers a secular interpretation. Carl Jung believed that humans are wired with deep symbolic architectures, patterns of personality, myth, and behavior that live in our collective unconscious. He called them archetypes. So when a monk said, "I saw the angel of grammar," a Jungian might say, he accessed the grammar archetype, the ideal cognitive form of structured language. In this view, angels equals symbolic representations of perfect thinking modes. Visions equals intuitive flashes from the subconscious mind. Messages equals emergent associations that feel external because they bypass the ego. The mind simulates an other because that's how deep insight often arrives. Sudden, nonverbal, uncaused. Neuroscience meets mysticism, the brain's entity generator. Recent brain imaging reveals something wild. When people enter deep trance, sensory deprivation, or psychedelic states, they often report entity encounters. Beings, voices, guides. And here's the twist. All these experiences activate the same brain region, the temporoparietal junction, TPJ, responsible for theory of mind, imagining others' perspectives. Also triggered when we create characters or feel watched. This means the brain has a built-in other generator. When activated in altered states, it creates the feeling of an external intelligence. That doesn't mean it's fake. It means the brain has a cognitive slot for the divine. And when filled, whether by angel, muse, or insight, the results can be astonishingly real. Case studies from the manuscript. Here are direct excerpts from medieval monk diaries, translated for clarity. Brother Anselm, I did chant the names of Raphael and Uriel, the room filled not with sound, but understanding. I could recall every passage of Aristotle, not word for word, but idea for idea. Sister Mirabilis, in the 7th hour after fasting and prayer, I saw a great light. A voice said, all truth has rhythm. My study of geometry thereafter became music, and I understood both. These weren't random hallucinations. They were structured insights, often aligning with the subject of focus. Modern view, deep pattern activation plus intuitive synthesis. Mystical view, angelic transmission. Choose your frame. Designing your archangel protocol. Whether you believe in literal angels or not, we can harness this system as a psychotechnological ritual. Let's build your personal archangel interface. Step 1. Assign archetypes. Pick a field of focus and assign an angelic identity. Logic, Seraphael. Clarity of sequence, rhetoric, Zaliel. Persuasive flow. Astronomy, Casariel. Celestial order, theology, Lumion. Unity and paradox, mathematics, Corthiel. Infinite pattern recognition. Names can be invented or adapted. What matters is symbolic resonance. Step 2. Create invocation ritual. Before study, light a candle or symbolically mark a start. Recite your invocation. I now align with Casariel, angel of the celestial. May the orbits of stars become the geometry of my mind. Use elevated language, not for superstition, but to engage emotional focus. Step 3. Study under interface. Read, absorb, reflect, imagining the archetype guiding your cognition. This creates externalized focus, removing ego interference. Step 4. End with gratitude and closure. Close the portal by thanking the archetype. This grounds the experience and creates a ritual arc. Over time, you'll develop symbolic associations with each interface. This becomes a powerful mental switchboard, activating desired states on command. Are these just metaphors? Not necessarily. Philosopher Bernardo Kastrup argues that consciousness is fundamental, that minds may emerge from a shared universal field, not isolated brains. In this view, angels might be stable cognitive attractors in the universal mind, non-local intelligence patterns, interfaces between the personal and the transpersonal. In short, whether angels are beings or patterns, their effects are real when engaged properly. Warnings and wonders. Do not over-personalize your archetypes. This isn't a game. If used recklessly, it can lead to dissociation, emotional dependency on imaginary guides, difficulty separating insight from fantasy. Always balance with logic, journaling, and empirical validation. But when used well, you get faster integration of knowledge, sudden intuitive clarity, emotional alignment with abstract subjects, a sense of awe, the highest state for learning. The final gate, beyond language itself. We've journeyed through breath, chant, symbol, trance, and now angelic cognition. But one frontier remains, the core of Ars Notoria: perfect memory, instant recall, superhuman cognition, and it all hinges on what the final chapter reveals. The ultimate technique, hidden in fragments, buried in Latin, misunderstood for centuries. It's not a prayer, it's not a diagram, it's something else. In the final chapter of Episode 1, we unveil Chapter 10, The Praxis Codex, How to Use Ars Notoria in 2025. Prepare for the full synthesis. Chapter 10, The Praxis Codex, How to Use Ars Notoria in 2025. Wisdom isn't just knowledge, it's the embodiment of a system. Ars Notoria is not a relic, it's a protocol, and you're about to run it. After all the history, theory, symbols, and psychotechnology, you might ask, so how do I actually do it? What is the modern ritual of the Notoria art? This chapter answers that. We decode the ancient structure into a practical 21st century daily method, fusing neuroscience, habit design, and esoteric ritual. This is the Praxis Codex, a daily, weekly, and monthly training loop to unlock accelerated learning and near-perfect recall. Let's build your system. The 4 pillars of Notorian practice. All historical versions of Ars Notoria point to 4 consistent components. Breath regulates cognitive readiness. Image primes visual anchors. Sound entrains the brain through rhythm. Invocation aligns intentionality plus emotional focus. These aren't random. Each targets a different neural system. Pillar brain function, outcome. Breath, autonomic nervous system. Focus plus calm. Image, visual cortex plus hippocampus memory anchor. Sound, auditory cortex plus rhythmic looping. Cognitive flow. Invocation, prefrontal plus limbic purpose plus emotional lock-in. Ars Notoria wasn't just medieval mumbo-jumbo. It was an integrated psychotechnology, way ahead of its time. Now, let's upgrade it. The morning ritual, Notoria activation sequence, NAS. Use this every morning before study or deep work. Total time, 15 to 20 minutes. Target, learning priming plus neural reset. Step 1, breath gate, 3 minutes. Sit upright, eyes relaxed. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. Repeat. On each exhale, whisper, "I open the gate of knowing." Repeat until the body quiets. Step 2, sigil gaze, 3 minutes. Look at your chosen Notae or symbolic diagram. Trace it with your eyes. No words. Then close your eyes and reconstruct it mentally. This activates dual encoding and spatial memory. Step 3, sonic loop, 5 minutes. Play your selected chant, whisper, or neuroacoustic track. Binaural beats plus Gregorian tones recommended. Let your breath fall into the rhythm. Optional, softly vocalize the pattern. For example, sa-re-na, sa-re-na. This entrains theta-alpha brainwave states, optimal for long-term memory encoding. Step 4, invocation, 4 minutes. Read or recite your daily intention. Today I align with the pattern of insert archetype. I welcome insight. I retain what I learn. I transform through understanding. Speak it aloud. Why aloud? Because verbalization locks cognition. It activates more areas of the brain than silent thought. The study ritual, cognitive engram encoding, CEE. Use this while studying a specific subject. Goal, encode information into mental sensory bundles, like memory tattoos. Before studying, choose 3 to 5 symbols for the topic. Draw them on the top of your notebook or screen. Set a timer for 25 minutes, Pomodoro style. During study, every 10 minutes, pause, close eyes, say, out loud or in mind, "This knowledge binds to," symbol. Visualize the knowledge flowing into that image. This creates semantic, emotional, symbolic bundles, triple encoded. Example, studying psychology? Symbol equals brain, heart, eye. Link a concept, for example, Jung's shadow, to the eye symbol. Recall the eye later. Concept floods back. After study, draw the symbols again. Write 1 sentence under each, what it now holds. This forms mnemonic anchors, mental files in a symbolic cabinet. The weekly praxis cycle. To go beyond memory and into intuition, use a weekly ritual. Every Sunday night, the arcane review. Duration, 30 to 45 minutes. Goal, deep consolidation plus subconscious priming. Review your week's Notae symbols. Which ones worked? Which invoked clarity? Draw 1 new composite Notae. Combine 3 to 4 of the week's symbols. Add 2 to 3 keywords. Use this as your sigil of the week. Ritual closing. Light a candle. Speak a phrase. All that was learned is now embedded. I release the grasp and let insight take root. Then sleep. Yes, sleep. Because consolidation happens in dreams, and monks knew that. The monthly amplifier, silence plus star view. Once a month, do the nocturne ritual, a solo session under stars, moonlight, or candlelight. Purpose, reset, elevate, connect to macro pattern recognition. No electronics. Sit in silence. Gaze at a single candle flame or the sky. Let your thoughts wander. Ask, what is the pattern I have been blind to? This is where downloads happen. Not always in words, sometimes in image, impulse, or sudden clarity. Journal what arrives. This becomes your next upgrade protocol, the Ars Notoria Stack, 2025 edition. Here's the full modern system summarized. Breath. Spiritus. NSDR. Breathwork. Vagal tone. Visual diagram. Notae. Memory palace plus symbolic UI. Chant. Vox. Binaural beats plus linguistic loop. Invocation. Oratio. Affirmation plus archetype programming. Angelic archetype. Angelus cognitus. Domain-focused persona activation. Practice cycle. Horae canonicae. Habit-stacked weekly loop. Nocturne ritual. Vigilia. Digital fast plus liminal cognition. This is the Ars Notoria Stack. Use it daily, weekly, monthly. Refine it as you grow. It will not only increase memory, it will recode your perception. Episode 1 ends, but the transmission begins. Let's end Episode 1 with what the monks called the silence after revelation. No final chant, no flourish, just this. The mind you have now is not the mind you were born with. It is not fixed. It is a cathedral under construction. Every breath is a brick. Every symbol a window. Every invocation a doorway. The Notory art is not a book. It is a transmission. You have received the first episode, but the real practice begins now. We hope that our first episode resonated with you. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the following 5 episodes. We will continue with Episode 2 as soon as possible. May the force of the galactic mind be with you.